Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another recap and review for Foundation. I'm sorry for the delay on this recap and review. Busy day, sort of hectic. I had to put this video out late, and I'm so disappointed in myself for putting it out so late because this episode was insane. Let me know down below what you guys thought of the episode, but I personally loved it. We're going to give you a quick recap of the whole episode like I always do, and I'll do a review at the end, give you guys my rating. We'll do some theories, what I think, and maybe you guys can help me explain some other things that I might have missed out on or that I have questions about as well. So before we get into it, please make sure to like this video. If you end up enjoying it, please make sure to subscribe if you're new. But let's get into episode 9 of Foundation, titled The First Crisis, and let's get into it. So the episode opens up with a flashback between Salvor and her father. They're both looking up at the stars, and she asks him questions about where humans originally come from. And he says there are several theories, one including that they might have come from Earth. I thought it was a cool little tidbit, and it was really a realistic approach. If humans have to survive, we know Earth's going to explode one day, right? The sun's going to explode to Earth. So we're going to have to eventually move out into the stars and habitat some planets. Eventually. We're talking about years and years from now. Things like millions and billions, whatever, right? But because the show takes place in that time, it's like a cool, realistic approach that history could alter as time goes by. Maybe, humans in the future won't know where they come from. And I sort of like that whole theme of this episode, how history is sort of, what's the term? History is written by the winners or something like that, right? I sort of like how that was an ongoing theme throughout this episode, and we see here right from the beginning with these psychological themes of Salvor's dad explaining to her where humans might have come from. And so he tells her also about the Star Bridge and how millions of people died from that event. And then he also says that the Empire killed millions of Anacreons, so no one really won that battle. And to end this scene, it ends with the father saying that he believes violence should be the last resort. And so I thought this was a good opening. And now we go to the Invictus ship, right, where we last saw the Invictus ship. They're going through a time jump. And we thought that everyone would die in this jump. I obviously knew that Salvor wasn't going to die. I mean, some characters have plot armor, and you know that they wouldn't kill them, right? We've all seen enough shows to where we know what plot armor is. And so Salvor wakes up from the jump. She seems to be okay. She doesn't have any scratches, nothing wrong with her. And she's surprised to see that they arrived at Terminus. And so she now looks for her friend Lewis, and she finds Lewis in the cognitive technology pod thing, and she realizes that he sacrificed himself so that he could bring them to Terminus for their last jump, right? He probably put in, we don't see it, but we infer that Lewis put in Terminus, but in doing so, he had to sacrifice himself. And I like that the series isn't afraid to kill off any sort of characters. Obviously some of the main characters won't get killed off, but we'll see by the end of this episode that, besides Salvor, maybe Gale, and that's it. I mean, everyone else is open to dying. And I think that's a really cool element for the show, because some shows, like I said, have plot armor for everyone. No one's going to die because they're too important to the storyline. Where for this show, I feel like anyone could die at any moment. So after this, Salvor tries to radio the Thesman Republic. She doesn't know when the next jump will take place. And so she doesn't know, she can't stay in the ship now. She doesn't know when the jump's going to take place. So she puts on a spacesuit and she jumps through space to another ship. And from that ship, she tries to contact Terminus, but no active comms are up. And suddenly Hugo arrives with another Thesman ship. And that's how that scene ends for now. So then cutting to Dawn and Azura, we go to them. They both still want to escape. They're kind of coming up with this plan. It's sort of risky. But then Dawn is called on by Dusk. So Dawn goes to Dusk. Dusk shows him the mural. So the mural is showing the time when Dusk was hunting. Or at least that's what he says it is, right? So he sort of talks about the mural or whatever. And then Dusk walks away. And then Dawn uses this another cognitive technology that Azura gave him. He puts it on and he's able to see what the mural really shows. And I didn't really know what the mural was actually depicting when I was looking at it. But obviously Dawn doesn't like what he sees. So he rushes to his room. He starts packing his things up. He's obviously in a hurry to get out of there. Before he can escape, he's escorted by the palace staff. And they're trying to take him back to, I think, Dusk. But he's able to fight off the guard. He runs outside. He decides to blend in with the crowd. He's able to barter this homeless person's coat. He puts on the coat. And he's sort of in awe of the town. This is sort of the first time that he's able to see real life. He's able to feel life in the town. He's not just isolated in the palace. He's able to see real life. And that's just sort of what the narration sort of points out. That this is the first time that Dawn is seeing real life. So Dawn finally finds Azura at her home. He wants to get his nanobots out of his body so that, in case he's being tracked. She says that there's some signal dampener in the house that's been activated. So until they get the nanobots removed, they should be okay and they can't find him. But shortly after, Azura's starting to comfort Dawn, but then she attacks him and Dawn sort of runs away. He's once again on the run, running throughout the town. And then he gets surrounded, and then this is sort of when we realize that he's part of some much bigger conspiracy. I think this was the moment when he sees an identical version of himself, and we will get back to that. But let's flip back to Hugo and Salvor, who are now reunited. Salvor explains how the jump didn't affect her, just like how the vault doesn't affect her either. And she says the Foundation needs the Invictus ship. So Hugo and some of the other Thespian Republic people, they go back to the Invictus ship to scour it, right? So from this point on, Salvor lands on Terminus. She finds that the outpost is now a ghost town. There's a bunch of dead bodies laying around everywhere. She finds her mother, who is unconscious but holding this object. She picks up the object and faces it towards the vault. This is one of Harry Seldon's devices. She then gets a bunch of visions of Gale and Harry's holding the device. And so the narration starts to say that history is a weapon and it harnesses time itself. And it says this while showing the device, right? So the device obviously has some sort of connection with history and time, right? So suddenly the vault activates. This is the first time we see it, actually activate. The gray layer sort of like melts away and it becomes transparent, and it splits apart. So it opens up apart. And so doing this, Salvor's mother wakes up and she notices that the energy field around the vault, which is what we've been seeing throughout the whole show, is no longer there. It's stopped and a door has formed at the vault. So now back to Dawn, who's facing an identical version of himself. And so he's being held captive. The other Dawn is transforming the nanobots from his body into his own. And so he reveals himself to be the Dawn of the clone of Dawn. And he's going to go back to the palace and pretend to be him. The real Dawn says that they're going to kill him. He says that he's not a defect. And so he'll now be a part of the genetic dynasty. And this has been like the plan all along. And he needed to give Dawn some sort of motive for escaping, which I guess is what Azura was, right? So then suddenly the clone people, like it's the clone and he's got some people with him. They're all attacked. Clone Dawn is killed and Brother Dusk arrives from like the smoke, right? It was kind of cool. And so he says that he wants a full memory audit of all the dead. He wants to know what happened. He thanks Azura for her performance. And we kind of knew Azura and Dusk were maybe working together. We had some theories, right? And he says that he's been following them like this whole time. And so then Dusk goes up to Dawn. He starts calling him naive and stupid. Dawn tells Dusk that he should try empathy. And Dusk sort of like laughs at him. And Dawn says that he wants to plead his case to Brother Day. And so this is where I need some help for, how I said earlier, you guys might need to help me with a little bit of stuff. This part, like this conversation. So Dusk obviously had some sort of plan, right? But did it involve the clone Dawn? Because why would he kill the clone Dawn then? Or was he just trying to make a point to like the real Dawn? Like it's sort of confusing. No, at least for me it is. I'm just trying to think like what Dusk's agenda is, unless we all don't know yet. But obviously he thinks so in my mind this is what it is. He sees Dawn as a defect, right? Which I guess is what he is. And he used Azura to maybe give Dawn the device to see the mural. And once Dusk knew that Dawn saw the mural for what it was and that Dawn didn't like it, that's what made him a defect. And then that's when Dusk decided to make his move against him, because he says that he's like a liability to the whole genetic dynasty. But I'm just sort of still confused. If someone can wrap it up very clear for me, I'll be very happy in the comments. But let's move on. So now back on Terminus for the ending. The Anacreans stop Salvor from walking towards the vault door. Right, so then Hugo and the Thespian Republic, they come up and there's like this whole like Mexican standoff, a lot of tension. And then another ship comes and destroys the Thespian Republic ships, and it turns out to be Huntress, right? And so Huntress comes down, like is pointing her gun at everyone too. Salvor then tells Huntress that the Invictus ship is the most powerful ship that they can obtain. So she suggests that all three worlds should work together to fix the ship back up and to operate it together. At this moment is when the vault starts conjuring up some sort of energy. It just starts like going off. So the Huntress decides to attack it. She sends the ship to start shooting at it. This leaves Salvor no choice but to kill her. She puts a bow and arrow, like an arrow through her throat. Really sick kill. This episode had a lot of sick kills. And so then once this happens, freaking Harry Seldon walks through the vault door. I got so hyped for this for some reason. I don't know why. I think I just love Jared Harris and seeing him so much. And so he walks out of the vault and he says that seeing them all together gives him hope that maybe they can pull this off. Whatever that means. We still don't know like what his real agenda is, or like when he says like, let's see if we can pull this off. Like I don't know what he means. Does anyone know what he means by that? Like what this is? But that's how the episode ends. So I'm gonna give my rating for the episode right now. I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. This is the highest I've rated this season. This, like, an episode in this season by far. I think the highest I rated was a 4 out of 5. This one just had everything for me. Like, this is what I wanted the show to become. I saw a couple of reception of the episode here and there. I think a lot of people might have the same thoughts as me. I saw some people who thought it was maybe a little clunky, a little messy, and they're not fully on board. I'm fully on board. I honestly, I'm fully on board. This is, I think it was the action junkie in me, the one who, like, loves seeing the action. This episode had a lot of action, but not only that, it was a good mix of drama and action. And why I liked it so much too was that, one, the ending was awesome. The ending makes me, like, really excited for the finale. Like, if the finale is just as good as this last episode, or even better, I will be preaching the show for a little bit. You know, if the finale is better than this episode, I will be start preaching the show on my Instagram and everything like that. And I have really been enjoying it. But so having a really hype ending is great. I thought the clone Dawn and that storyline was all really good. And seeing even the clone Dawn where he gets slit and you see the blood coming out, I thought that was really good. And then, like, the invisible footprints, and it was like the other palace guard, I thought that was really suspenseful and very well done. And there's a lot of payoff for a couple of storylines, right? So there's, like, the Dawn clone, Azura, Dusk. We see payoff, we see where that was going to. And then there's also payoff with the Huntress storyline as Huntress finally dies. Another thing where I talked about earlier with Lewis's death is that the show is not scared of killing off some of the main characters. Huntress has been a main character for these last couple episodes. Really focused on her, even giving her a flashback. And to just kill her off, it's just like a lot of shocks. There's a lot of shocks in this episode, a lot of twists, a lot of surprises that I didn't see coming. I always enjoy that in an episode. So if you can give me a really good ending, payoff to a lot of good storylines that you have been slowly building up throughout the series, right? And having it all culminate into a good sort of two-part finale. That's what this feels. This feels like a finale part of it because it was that good. And then, dude, having the vault door open, that's insane. You know, that was a crazy moment, seeing it come transparent and split open. We've been waiting to see this vault door open for the whole show. I also thought the reoccurring theme of history and how it could be altered. You know, I sort of related it to, like, the most popular thing that's been going on nowadays, like, is Christopher Columbus, right? And how, like, history could be rewritten to, like, a certain way. And that's just, like, what my mind sort of went to. And like I said, a bunch of shocks, surprises, and Clone Dawn, Huntress's death, Lewis's death. You know, that was another cool thing with the Invictus ship. And, so the vault finally, it all culminated into this collection of just a lot of good things that I liked. But that is just my thoughts on the episode overall. Like I said, I think this was the best episode yet. But what did you guys think? Did you think this is the best episode yet? Did you like a couple other ones that were better? Did you like this episode? I mean, I think it was a little bit different from what we've been getting. There's a couple of slow burn episodes in the beginning, right? And I sort of told you guys my thoughts on that. I was like, it's going a little bit too slow. I kind of wanted to, like, quicken up. I was confused about a lot of storylines or where things were going. And I think by the middle part is where I fully got on board with the show. And I said, just take me. Like, just tell the story the way you want to. And if it pays off in a good way, I will love it, you know? And I was never looking at the show negatively, but I always had my doubts, like, will this really pay off? But I think halfway through, I was like, just take me, because I thought it was really good. And dude, it took me to this. This is a great episode. It all came together so nicely. Really appreciate it. But like I said, let me know down below what you guys thought. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it. And if you're new here, please make sure to subscribe, because we keep up with the foundation. I don't know why I said it like that. But have a great rest of the day, and I will see you all in the next video.